I would also like not to go deeper in any specific profession. But what we see is that everything that can be automized will be automized, and everybody who's doing a job who is has a high grade of automation should think about finding another one. Everything that can be done by robots will be done by robots. So we don't have to think about, only have to think about when that starts. So everybody who feels replaceable by a robot should look for another job. And I think every job who deals with uncertainty, with vague assumptions, is more safe, because this is what humans do best, work in these environments. And maybe this might give the answer to which jobs might be in danger and which not.
You can always be certain we'll never be short of lawyers, if that's always a profession that won't be outsourced or robots will do. So you can be safe if you have a legal degree.
Oh, I've had a hard time getting very specific names and specific profession and specific technology from you guys, and I'm going to give it one more go. Your kid, or if you don't have one, then your brother's kid, wants to go into tech in general, and he wants an advice as to in which field to put his next few years of studies and then his career. What would you tell him?
I mean, for me, it's obviously going to be computer science, not just because that's what I do, because I think there is still tons of things we can do in computer science to connect people, and but also to analyze data, which is what I talked about earlier. I mean, there's still so much to do in the space of taking tons amount of data and analyzing them using algorithms. Some people call them, I saw in some of the articles, some people call these people data scientists, which I think is a good name. But these are people that not necessarily just look at data and understand what it means. These are people that can actually write algorithms that will allow computers and machines to understand what the data is. I'll give one example. Think about, I talked earlier about future telling, all this kind of stuff. I mean, we collect a lot of data. One of the things we do a lot, there are a lot of sensors around us that collect data about us. Think about what this can do to healthcare. Think about the fact that as you walk around your house, some specific indicators can be collected about you, and some software with some smart, at some level of accuracy, not 100% accuracy, can figure out what's your health condition. Are you approaching something bad that you should be let know of? These kind of things will require a lot of algorithm thinking, and I think that people that will be able to do that, my kid maybe, can have a bright future.
I would tell her to learn Mandarin Chinese.
Okay, anybody with advice to their children?
Yeah, so I have three kids, 10, 7, and 4. And based on the 4-year-old, I would say creative dance. I would say bilingual, like the Mandarin is a great example. I would say, I would push them to be more international in their, language skills and, versus an individual, trait or, background.
Anybody else? Jimmy?
No, I think we've covered it, most of it, but I do think, as I said, things are shifting. So Mandarin is obviously a good thing if you believe that China is up and coming from an innovation perspective, and if they want to go into that space, then I do think computer science is the way to do it. Creating products is not done, doing business plans. It's done, getting down there and figuring out, in really doing innovative stuff. So I think then you're better suited as an entrepreneur. I always, look back and think if I'd done computer science instead of business management, then I would have sold my business for billions instead of hundreds of millions.
All right, 10 years from now, if you look at what happened since 10 years ago, so just about, well, not about now, but 12, 13 years ago, we had the internet bubble where everybody thought that the world is going to change in a couple of years. And in fact, it didn't happen that way. Things went much slower than everybody thought. And maybe now we're coming, I think you will agree with me, to where people thought we would be in 2003. Do you think the rhythm of innovation and changes and revolutions is going to pick up? Or is it going to be sort of, all right, same as we saw in the last 10 years?
I think it's a vicious cycle that's going faster and faster. So eventually, obviously, it can't go faster. But if you think about, just a few years back, 5, there was something called MySpace. What happened to MySpace, right? It could have been what Facebook is, and they missed a turn. So I think the pace. And also the pace to kind of scale, right? Twitter is now IPOing in a month's time. In 5-6 years, they built, I think, one of the most interesting media businesses that are truly democratizing media, and have 250 million users. I think the pace is just ridiculously fast.
I think the laws of physics are that innovation accelerates exponentially. I think the really interesting thing that I see is, 5-10 years ago, it was all about moving businesses to digital platforms. Some of the most fascinating innovation that's happening now is all about reinventing legacy industrial products. The man that arguably holds the mantle of innovation king in the United States now is making a car. That would have been unthinkable 10 years ago. 3D printing is remaking a legacy product, obviously using digital technology, but even all of the wearables that we're seeing now, Hyperloop, all of those things are a reimagining of old industrial products. We've moved past the age of just simply putting things online. There are still networking businesses that are trying to leverage community like Pinterest and Path, and those will continue. But I don't think that's where some of the most really fascinating innovation is happening at warp speed right now.
Just one addition. I think if you compare the speed in which we've been moving in the last, let's say, 15 years, compared to the speed we've been moving in the last 200 years, we've been moving in blazingly fast speed.
Sure, but that means that we're going to get faster in the next 15 years.
Hard to tell. I don't know.
Hard to tell. Okay, I have a question which is going to annoy you, and I want to see how you react. Who in 10 years is going to be the big winner? Google, Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft? You're exempt of some of that question. And anybody else that you think, maybe Twitter, I don't know. Who is going to be the it company 10 years from now as we sit with some air condition in this room? Okay.
What, do you mean the biggest, or do you mean, they're all going to be, I think, pretty successful in 10 years.
The one that sets the rules. The one that has the best technology. You can cut that any way you want.
Well, I don't know that there will be one that sets the rules across all of those spaces, but the company that I think is moving most quickly right now in the most places is Amazon. Amazon's cloud storage services has completely disrupted that industry and has had such a dramatic effect on pricing, on site location of storage, so on and so forth, that they are upending everything. If you would have told me 3 years ago that Mark Benioff of Salesforce, Steve Ballmer of Microsoft, and Larry Ellison of Oracle would do a deal together, I would have said you were out of your mind. And that happened because of Amazon. I think the other thing that Amazon is doing now that people are only beginning to wake up to is that if they succeed in a world of same-day delivery for goods that are purchased online, that will change the entire brick-and-mortar commerce system, because now all I have to do is order anything from any store, or most easily from Amazon. And if I get it that day, and I get that instant gratification that I get if I go to a regular store, I wouldn't want to be in the supermarket business. I wouldn't want to be in a whole lot of businesses anymore. So I think on those two fronts, which are gigantic, Amazon is doing amazing things.
I really hope, as you already mentioned, that we will have more than one winner in this game. So, and for me personally,
lots of winners, but who's going to be number one in any list?
Okay, maybe it depends on the day you ask me. One day it's Amazon, of course. You're absolutely right. It's an amazing system that they have built up. Next day might be Google, because they did quite well with Android and will be maybe in this space hard to beat. So I think both of them will have the chance to be number one in 10 years, but they will iterate from day to day maybe, and depending on the subject you are asking of.
Yeah, Jim, you're a gambling man?
Yes, I will now give you a specific answer. I know I've been general the whole time. I'll give you specific. Amazon. So being from Seattle, we see their growth every day, not only just in their physical location and the number of employees are onboarding, but just in our daily lives. So my groceries at home are delivered by Amazon. I think we all remember companies like Webvan that didn't succeed in that, but Amazon's doing that. There's also, I was at 7-Eleven, which is a convenience store, and they had these lockers, and the lockers were Amazon lockers. So now they're delivering to, if you don't have a location but you want it delivered to 7-Eleven, they can do that. Maybe that's from Breaking Bad. I don't know what's being delivered in those lockers, but they're constantly innovating. They're getting into coupons. They're looking at the content. I think content is the real secret here. We're all consumers. How do we want to consume our content on the devices? I think that's really the key that they're also building on. So Amazon.
And they have bought the Washington Post. What are you going to do about it?
Since all the other guys said Amazon, then I'll pick something else because that's obviously going to be too easy. It's all great companies. It's like picking one of your children. But I do think for me, Twitter really personally, I think it's really transformed the way media is and is going to be for many years. So I love that company. I still struggle with how they're going to monetize at that scale. So I don't necessarily think they're going to be the winner if you ask for a winner. I do think that Facebook has a huge opportunity. They have 1.1 billion users that are active. I think Zuckerberg needs to get out of his thinking where right now he just wants to be a platform play. If he wants to be the biggest, then he needs to go into verticals. He needs to be social commerce. He needs to be social gaming. He needs to go into all the verticals. If he starts doing that and is successful, no one comes close. He's got 1.1 billion.
A word from Microsoft, maybe?
So I think there are actually 5 companies that can give you the experience all the way from the device, either a phone or a PC, through the service to the cloud. They have this potential. And they have tons of users, right? It's Microsoft, it's Google, it's Facebook, it's Apple, and it's Amazon. These are the 5 companies I can think of. And I think they all stand a chance in the next 10 years. Still, I think that 10 years down the line, just because I think things are going to move faster than we expect, it's going to be someone else.
All right, well, after 50 minutes of discussion, I finally have a headline. Amazon is going to be the big company 10 years from now, with Twitter maybe, Facebook closed, and not a word about Google. I would say that they're a player, but you guys are the experts, so thank you very much. It was a very good panel.